this is a surprise attack. So many deaths. It is. So everybody's talking about it because they can't imagine how many civilians are involved, and now U.S. is getting involved as well. How much should? Let's start with that. How much should the U.S. be involved at this point when we're already involved in Ukraine and other situations?
Well, Taryn, you bring up a very valid point, but think about this. Here in the Detroit metropolitan area, we have a huge Jewish population. We have a huge Lebanese population. We even have a Palestinian group here. So we obviously, Americans are very interested, and a lot of our neighbors are very much interested in what's happening in the region. And we actually have an interest in the region. Israel is the only democracy in the region, and we have a sworn oath under the Oslo Accords and others to defend and assist our ally. Israel's an ally in the region.
So let's talk about that for a moment. The Oslo Accords back in 1993, President Clinton, you'll remember the famous scene with the Israeli Prime Minister and the Palestinian leader shaking hands, signing this accord, saying, hey, we'll recognize each other as states. All of that seemed to go away, and now we have, in the last 15 years, 5 wars. What happened to that accord?
Well, what's happened is the strength of Iran. We've actually, through our administrations, through not so much the Trump administration, but the Obama administration, and then again just recently with the Biden administration, of supporting and allowing Iran to financially strengthen themselves, number one, and number two, by giving Iran the opportunity to build up a potential nuclear arsenal that they're now potentially about a year away from having a nuclear weapon. And Iran is obviously the biggest supporter of Hamas in the Gaza Strip and Hezbollah in Lebanon.
And Iran wrote a note today basically announcing their congratulations on this attack, which is so terrible. And that letter went to Hamas.
Let's not forget, they're the ones that are actually orchestrating this. Hamas and Hezbollah would not have missiles or rockets or mortars had it not been for Iran and the funding that's being funded through Iran from China, even from Russia.
And that's why the U.S. is really supporting Israel at this point, because those are seen as extremist groups, militant groups that are taking tactics that might be, I guess, inhumane, really, in the way that they're going after this. I mean, we're talking about women and children being kidnapped, held hostage. It doesn't seem right.
Well, not just being held hostage or kidnapped. Some of the stories and the videos that you can see online, which are very tragic, horrific, and very evil, burned. If they wouldn't come out of their safe room, they would burn the homes on fire. And when people were running out, they would shoot them. The hostage taking is a new one for Hamas. They've taken over 130 now hostages, and they brought them into Gaza as human shields.
So let's take us through the next steps here. Unfortunately, this has happened. We have war at the doorstep of Israel, and it's been the most brutal thing they've seen since the 40s, right? Now, moving forward, how do you get out of this? And do you get out of it, or is it just something that continues, this conflict?
I hate to say this, but there's going to have to be a ground incursion. As Netanyahu, the prime minister, said today, there will be a ground incursion into Gaza, and they will basically wipe Gaza clean. And what they will potentially do, because there is no opportunity to have a peaceful Gaza coexist, at least that Gaza Strip coexist within Israel anymore. So now you're going to have potentially a two-front war where, if that happens, will Hezbollah get involved, and will Hezbollah attack from the north?
Well, who's involved with that war? Who's involved?
Hezbollah, the United States obviously now, we know, sent the Gerald R. Ford Naval Strike Group towards the region. We also have 2 more strike groups, which are aircraft carriers in the region. The Navy's 5th Fleet is in that area in the Middle East. So you've got strike groups, you've got obviously support that's being sent to Israel with new weapons, and we're going to let Israel fight that war. Hopefully we won't get involved. We're only there for deterrence.
Yeah, and in the meantime, though, you have everybody in the Gaza Strip there. It's being described as an open-air prison where they're essentially being trapped. They're cut off from food and any sort of resources that they may need. Those people there, That's it. I mean, what are their options?
That's what's got to happen. Israel basically laid siege, and they were the energy. They were providing energy to Gaza. They were providing food through that area. So now they've laid siege to Gaza before the invasion. You've got to do that to soften the targets before you go in. That's the only thing that could happen. Think about it this way. Let me end on this and say that the civilians of Palestine, there were 30 to 40,000 civilians that had work permits that would leave Gaza and come work in Israel. And now they're not working. They won't be allowed to cross the border. And now Israel has to strengthen their border again, clean out the insurgents in Israel, strengthen the northern border, and then potentially do the ground incursion.
And finally, your hope, your wish, as we watch Metro Detroit watch this, we have a unique position in this world as having Arab Americans and Jewish Americans together. This is an important place to watch, isn't it?
As someone that has lived through war and seen war, peace is the only answer. The war is the last possible thing you could ever be involved in, and you're absolutely right.
We coexist here in Michigan. We have, certainly we have the Palestinians. We have, Jewish people, Arabs. Everybody's, here. It's sad that we can't see that over there as well, and maybe one day.
Well, and we certainly hope for that peace here and elsewhere. And Rocky Raczkowski,
if I may,
thank you for your perspective.
Let me just say this, that we in the United States now, potentially this could happen in the United States any day now, because we're not watching our borders. If I can just say this, that we need to remember September 11th, because if we don't, we're going to come closer to September where we were September 10th.
And they're calling it their 9/11. Rocky, we're out of time, but we thank you for your time today.